Welcome to the Whole Foods Masterclass with Caramia Wellness. This is week 2. I am Kara Joseph, a Whole Foods nutritionist. In this class, we're going to recap some things from last week, talk about the hidden sugars in your food in the form of carbohydrates, and why you should hydrate. Let's recap from last week. Hopefully you have removed all the sugar from your diet. If you're still having a hard time with that, please get that liquid Jemima. You can get it by emailing us at info@caramiawellness.com. You're exercising 15 minutes every day, no excuses. Even if it's bad weather, you can do this inside your house. Do you have your motivation posted somewhere that you can see it every single day? This is going to remind you why you started this journey in the first place. Are you tracking your progress? This is so important to really be honest with yourself and see how well you're doing. Either do it on the app or do it on a piece of paper, and then completing the diet logs. We're going to use those tonight, so make sure that you have them in front of you. Hopefully you're doing all these things. Let's grab our diet logs and take a look at those. I want you to grab a highlighter or some kind of writing tool, and I want you to look at your diet logs now and circle everything that's obvious sugar. So if you're still got some kind of lingering sugars around, circle those in the diet logs. That would be things like sugar in your coffee or tea, soda that you're still drinking on occasion, actual sweets like cookies, candy, maybe some cake, whatever it might be. Actual sugar. So give that a circle. All right, the next thing that you're going to circle are carbohydrates. I want you to circle any refined carbohydrates. This does not include fruits and vegetables. It's things like pasta, chips, crackers, all those kinds of bready things. Circle anything that's a carbohydrate in your diet log now. We have grown up with ads like this telling us that things like whole grain breads are healthy for us and should be a mainstay in our diet, when the reality is that these are hidden sugars in our diet that affect our blood sugar and overall health in a negative way. The rates of type 2 diabetes have skyrocketed over the last 50 years, and they continue to rise every single year. This is much in part to these hidden sugars that are in our diets that we're going to talk about tonight and try to get rid of. All right, just to be clear, carbohydrates that we're talking about tonight are things like bread, pasta, pretzels, crackers, chips, cereal, baked goods, flour, rice, oatmeal, quinoa, and buckwheat. These carbohydrates affect your blood sugar, and it's ranked in something called the glycemic index. So the faster a food rises your blood sugar, the higher the number. Sugar or glucose would have 100 because it's the one food in your diet that raises your blood sugar the fastest. So it gets the score of 100. Anything below 100 is going to raise your blood sugar slower than glucose would. So if you look at the bottom of this slide, you'll see that veggies are 10 to 50. So they're going to have very little impact on your blood sugar. Something like rice cakes, cornflakes, white bread have a much higher glycemic index, over 75. And those are closer to sugar and raise your blood sugar faster. But keep in mind, the overall effect on blood sugar is going to be impacted by 3 things: the amount of food that you're eating, what you're eating the food with, and how the food is prepared. So if the food is cooked, it is definitely going to have a higher glycemic index. So for example, carrots. Raw carrots are going to have a lower glycemic index than cooked carrots. And then if you pair any of your food with a protein, fat, or fiber, it is also going to slow down the absorption of that food and thus lower the glycemic index. So if you've got a rice cake and you eat it straight, it's going to have that high glycemic index. But if you put, say, some nut butter on that rice cake, it's going to lower it down. Okay, why avoid carbs in the first place? Well, here's a slide from last week, and it's the same exact slide on why you want to avoid sugar. Carbohydrates end up turning into sugar in your body and are treated very similarly. And it will increase your overall body inflammation. It depresses your immune system. It slows digestion and increases things like gas, bloating, constipation, and IBS symptoms. It feeds cancer cells. It creates fat deposits in your liver. It decreases your energy and it depletes your body of minerals, affecting your mood and thyroid function. So you want to try to limit your amount of carbohydrates to half a cup per day because of the effect that it has on your blood sugar and overall health, and because it doesn't have any kind of nutritional value. There are some carbohydrates that do have nutritional value. Those would be things like quinoa, buckwheat, oatmeal, brown rice, and wild rice. But most of those things that are made with just straight white flour have no nutritional value at all and are actually negative foods. You have to use more nutrients to digest those foods than they give you. So we're going to limit carbohydrates to 1 to a half a cup per day. Your ultimate goal is a half a cup. If you're a carboholic, start with 1 cup and then slowly work down to a half a cup. And this doesn't include fruits and vegetables. All right, so you're probably asking yourself, what on earth can I eat now? Well, lots of veggies, protein, fruit, and some carbohydrates. So let's talk about how you're going to do this. First thing that you want to do is you want to stop counting calories. Counting calories changes your focus away from the quality of food that you're eating and looks at something that has no relationship to the amount of nutrients or how healthy it is for your body. So for example, we have some pretzels here, and then we have a bunch of fruit and nuts at the bottom. I think all of us know what the better choice is for a snack. Definitely the fruits and nuts at the bottom, primarily because they have the most amount of nutrients, and your body needs those to grow new cells. The other reason is that the fruits and nuts are going to have a much lesser effect on your overall blood sugar than those pretzels. I want you to try a little experiment this week, and I want you to have some of those pretzels as a snack and see how you feel after you eat those pretzels for a snack. Just grab a handful or one of the little snack packs that's like 100 calories, and then I want you to grab some fruit and nuts for a snack and see how you feel after you have the fruit and nuts. After eating the fruit and nuts, you're not going to want to grab a whole bunch more of the fruit and nuts. You're going to feel satisfied, and your body is going to be just feeling calm and happy. You eat those pretzels, and there's not a whole lot in that little snack pack. You're still going to be hungry. You're going to want more of the pretzels, and I think we have all been guilty of this. You just start eating the whole big bag of pretzels, and before you know it, it's gone, and you're still hungry, and you still want to eat more of them, and you're not satisfied, and your body's not satiated. When you're feeding your body good, nutritious food, it auto-regulates, and it just automatically doesn't want to eat a whole bunch of it, and your portion sizes will be regulated on their own. Okay, so once you've gotten out of counting calories, the next thing that you want to do is get out of the habit of looking for new recipes. I know this sounds counterintuitive, and so many of us, when we start a new eating plan, we go reach for all these new recipes, which is not a bad thing. If you like to cook, then by all means go find those recipes. If you have the time to do this, that is great. But I want you to take your focus away from making 1 or 2 amazing recipes to be able to sustain every single meal in a healthy, nutritious way with good quality ingredients. And those good quality ingredients typically need no recipe at all. So let's see exactly how this works. Okay, so step number 3, you're going to change how you grocery shop. So instead of making a big list and going off a bunch of new recipes that you're really not sure how they're going to work out, you're going to go to the market and you're just going to get really great ingredients that are there and readily available to you and make your list as you go. So let's see how exactly that's going to work. The first thing that you want to do is keep in mind what your plate should look like at every meal, if you can. So mostly vegetables, some protein, some fat. Sometimes that fat comes from the protein itself. So for example, if you're making steak, the fat's going to come from the steak. And then other optional extras. Maybe you want to put some fruit on your salad, some nuts, some seeds. Maybe you're having chili and you want a couple corn chips. Those are all the extras. So keep in mind what your plate should look like, with the exception of breakfast. Breakfast is a really hard meal to make perfectly balanced. So many of us are running out the door in the morning, do not have time, maybe you have kids. So we're going to look also at breakfast and how to make breakfast sustainable for you. All right, so when you enter the grocery store, I want you to take with you a blank sheet of paper, and on the top of the paper, you're going to put breakfast, you're going to put a column for lunch, you're going to put a column for dinner, and then snacks. And you're going to fill it in based on what you find at the grocery store and you like and is a good price for you. So let's say, for example, you enter the grocery store and you see blueberries, and you also know that steak is something that you want to pick up that week and they have it on sale. Now you can start building your week of meals. So you're going to have some blueberries for breakfast, you're going to have the steak with a salad on the side for dinner, and then for lunch the next day, you're going to have salad with some steak on it. So make sure that you buy enough extra for dinner so that you'll have leftovers for the next day. This is a really great trick for getting healthy, nutritious meals. Just use your leftovers from the night before, put them on a salad, or eat them straight as the leftover themselves, and that will get you lunch every single day. Okay, so the majority of your shopping is going to be done in the produce department. That's the first area that you walk into when you enter the supermarket. You're going to look around for veggies and fruit that you like, that are organic and a good price, and put them in your cart and start writing them down on your sheet in places where you think you might want to use them. So for example, lettuce, if you're going to have a lot of salads at lunch, you definitely need some lettuce and whatever else you want to add into the salad. And then look for some dinner vegetables like Brussels sprouts, asparagus, squash, broccoli, all those kinds of things that you like at dinner as a vegetable. And then breakfast, it's up to you what you want to do for breakfast. Some people like leftovers for breakfast, and that's absolutely fine. Some people like to make salads for breakfast, but most of us don't. And that's okay. So we're going to see how breakfast is going to pan out in a minute. Okay, so now you're in the market and you see salmon, and you also see some other things in the produce department like avocado, zucchini, maybe you see some asparagus. So now you can start adding some more things to your list. So you've got another meal of salmon and asparagus. You're going to put some salmon on your salad the next day, and maybe some eggs for breakfast, and that's perfect. Okay, so let's start adding some more stuff. So maybe you see some avocado in the produce department. Avocado pairs really well with either hamburgers or chili. So you're going to have a chili night with some sliced avocado, and you're going to have the same thing for lunch the next day. You get some chicken to pair with the zucchini that you got in the produce department. And then let's say you have some oatmeal, you grab those bananas. You can have bananas with nut butter for breakfast one morning. So now you can see how you can start developing your list while you're at the supermarket. This helps save time for you. It makes it much easier. And you're really focusing on finding good quality ingredients with one trip to the supermarket. Then snacks like hard-boiled eggs, raw veggies, fruits, nuts, probably will stay pretty much the same for you all the time. You're going to find some of those good whole food snacks that you like, and just make sure that you keep a good amount of them at the house. And then the other thing that you're going to have is you're going to have a list of staples that you are going to write down before you get to the supermarket. Let's say you're out of eggs and crackers and butter. Obviously, you want to write those down before you get there so that you can make sure that you get those too. And don't get me wrong, going by a recipe is a lovely thing, but if you don't have time or you're not a big cook, that's okay too, because we really want to just focus on getting good food. And all of this good food either doesn't need to be cooked at all, things like salads and fruits, or if they do, they need very little seasoning, salt and pepper, grilled on the top of the stove or in the oven, and they're perfect. Okay, what if you do have some recipes, some tried and true recipes that your family loves? Let's talk about that. All right, do you keep the recipe or do you toss it? So recipes that you want to keep have a base of proteins and vegetables. Keep these recipes. For sure, keep using them. They're chicken, roasted duck, chili, soups, any kind of fish dish, curries. These are all great recipes and absolutely keep doing them. If they have some carbs, things like meatballs, lasagna, pot pie, cut the carbs in half or more. So for example, if you're making lasagna, every other noodle layer, make a spinach layer instead. Or if you're making pot pie, make the pot pie filling, put it in a ramekin, and then you can roll out some pie crust, get a cookie cutter, and make some pie crust cookies and put them right on the top of your pot pie, and you have a cute little dinner with a salad or some vegetables on the side that everybody loves. Meatballs, most meatball recipes call for some kind of bread or breadcrumbs put in them. Same thing for meatloaf. Cut the bread in half and add an egg. And this will cut your carbs in half in that recipe as well. All right, if you have any kind of recipes with flour and sugar as your base, these are things like cake and biscuits and cookies. Put those aside for special occasions only. All right, the 3 recipe books that I cannot live without: The Joy of Cooking, How to Cook Everything Vegetarian, and Nourishing Traditions. These 3 cookbooks are wonderful references for really how to cook food. So if you buy a new cut of whatever kind of meat you're buying and you have no idea how to cook it, you can go to The Joy of Cooking and they will tell you the instructions on how to cook it. You can also look up some really great recipes in any of those 3 cookbooks, but they're a great resource to just find out the how-to, not for a specific recipe. Okay, what is protein? This can be really confusing because if you go on the web, there's all kinds of information on what is protein, what kind of protein is good for you. So animal protein, eggs, raw milk, chicken, fish, pork. You should be eating a palm-sized serving of protein at every meal. If you're skipping protein at breakfast, just try to make it up at the other meals or during snack time. If you're a big guy, 4 to 5 palm sizes of protein a day. If you're a little woman, 3 palm sizes of protein a day. That keeps it really easy. You're not counting grams of protein, you're just kind of eyeballing it. All right, there's also plant protein. So plant-based protein would be things like beans, nuts, and tofu. These are a great addition to your diet, but they don't want to be the base of your diet for 2 reasons. The first reason is the amount of actual protein that you absorb from those foods is much less than you do from animal proteins. So let's say you're having a hamburger and then the person next to you is having a bean burger. Both good protein sources, both really healthy for you, both delicious and great choices. But the beef burger, you're going to be absorbing almost all the protein in that burger, whereas the plant-based bean burger, you're going to be absorbing about half of the protein from that burger. So you're just absorbing a lot less of the protein that's listed for that item of food. The other reason that you want to avoid having the plant-based protein as your base all the time is because it doesn't have the complete complement of amino acids. So these are the building blocks for protein that you need. Some of them your body makes on its own, but some are essential that you can only get in your diet. But really, you want to get the full complement of amino acids from your diet, and that can only come in animal protein. Okay, so on to cooking protein. How are you going to cook this stuff? Almost any kind of protein can be cooked in the oven, with the exception of eggs. I don't think you want to cook eggs in your oven, but any kind of cut of meat, so chicken, pork, steak, fish, all of that stuff can be popped right into the oven and cooked, or you can cook it on the stovetop. For specific instructions on how to cook any kind of protein, either consult The Joy of Cooking, or you can go online on a web search, how to cook whatever you're looking for. You're not looking for a recipe though, you're just looking for the instructions on actually how to cook it. How would you sear it? How would you roast it? So that you know how to cook the meat. But the meat typically needs just salt and pepper, and you're ready to go. Okay, on to vegetables. Vegetables should be making the base of your diet. You should be eating at least twice as many vegetables that you are of fruit. Eating them raw is the best way to eat them in salads or sliced up as a snack. I love to just slice up some vegetables and eat them while I'm cooking. This is usually at the end of the day while I'm really, really hungry and I could eat an entire bag of chips. I just slice up some cucumbers, put some salt on those, and eat those while I'm cooking, and it stops me from eating the chips that I know I shouldn't be eating. All right, put them in something. Putting vegetables in something is a great way to get vegetables in. Soup, chili, quiche, even sneaking them in things like lasagna or tacos, perfect. All right, sauteing or steaming, excellent way to get veggies in, or roasted. Any kind of vegetable roasted is super delicious. Slice it up, put it on a pan with some parchment paper, olive oil, salt and pepper. Cook them at 350 for 20 to 40 minutes, and it is perfect every single time. Things like squash, root vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, delicious. Okay, on to the carbohydrates. Everybody's favorite food: quinoa, buckwheat, wild rice, brown rice, rice pasta, and steel-cut oats. All of those, with the exception of the rice pasta, do have some kind of nutritional value. So they are a really great addition to your diet. Just limit them to a half a cup. If you can break that half a cup up into a quarter cup and a quarter cup at 2 meals, that sometimes makes it more palatable. So if you want to have some crackers with soup at lunchtime, and then you want to have a little bit of rice with your dinner at night, that is a perfect way to do it. The rice pasta I put in there because it's a great alternative to gluten. Anything with a gluten base, so that's anything made with wheat flour or spelt flour. There are other flours that have gluten in them, but primarily regular white flour and spelt flour are the two flours that you're going to find on the market that have gluten in them. And both of these are very hard to digest because of the gluten that's in them. So they're hard on the body, and they do create overall inflammation for just about everybody. So if you can, try to eliminate gluten, and that's why I like the rice pasta. There's a ton of gluten-free pastas out there, and they're all a good choice, but I find the rice pasta is the closest in flavor to regular wheat pasta, and it's the one everybody universally likes. But just recognize that the rice pasta does not really have much nutrient value in it. It's just delicious, and it's a nice option to be able to add to your food. The other listed carbohydrates here do have some nutritional value, and therefore are a good choice. All right, on to hydration. Hydrating your body is super important. More than half of your body is water, and your body doesn't really function very well if it's not hydrated. You need proper hydration for good cellular function, lymphatic drainage, so that's how your body gets rid of all the waste, super important, bowel elimination, and kidney function. Really important stuff. So make sure that you stay hydrated, and this is how you're going to do it. Half your body weight in ounces per day. So if you're a 200-pound person, 100 ounces of water every day. That's a lot of water. Hydrate with water. Don't hydrate with things like soda and fruit juice and the sports drinks that are out there. Straight up water is your best friend. You can also flavor the water a little bit with things like herbal tea bags, lemon juice, lime juice, or even just a little splash of actual juice to get you started to drinking more water. If you're a coffee or a caffeinated tea drinker, you need to drink an extra glass of water for every cup of caffeinated coffee or tea. All right, now consider the water source itself. Most of us are either getting water from well, city, or bottles. If you're getting it from a well, make sure that it's been tested for things like nitrates and heavy metals. If you're getting it from a city source, it's always going to be contaminated because of the water treatment that it's gone through. So make sure that you're filtering that water. And then the last one is bottled water. If you're getting bottled water, get spring-fed water because that's going to have naturally occurring minerals in it that are really vital to your health, as well as well water. So well water is going to have those minerals in it too, and that's why well water is my number one choice. All right, your goals for this week. You're going to keeping out the sugar. You're going to keep exercising, keeping your motivational statement somewhere that reminds you of why you started this journey in the first place. If you can bump up the exercise to 20 minutes a day, go for it. The other things that you want to do are start limiting the carbs. So you're going to cut down the carbs to a cup a day if you're a carboholic, but ultimately go to a half a cup a day total. Eat veggies, lots and lots of veggies. There is no limit to the number of veggies, but you should be eating at least 6 half-cup servings of veggies every single day. All right, try shopping without a list. This seems crazy. Bring that list of staples that you need and then the sheet of paper that we will email to you that has that blank list on it that you can start building your week of meals with. Try cooking without a recipe. Try to let these beautiful ingredients stand on their own. Drink half your body weight in ounces every day with water, and continue logging what you eat and tracking your success each day. Did you reach your goals? Make sure that you give yourself credit for it. Your body is amazing. Treat it with kindness and love and feed it lots of nutrients. I'll see everybody in week number 3.